Hello, everyone. I'm honored to have the chance to speak with you during this year's Government to Government Violence Against Women Tribal Consultation, and regret that I cannot be with you in Anchorage today. I would like to start by acknowledging that I'm speaking to you from Washington, D.C., which is the ancestral land of the Nacotchkonk or Anacostan and Piscataway peoples. This annual gathering is a demonstration of the Justice Department's commitment to working with tribes, and one of our most important convenings. It is essential that we listen to tribal leaders and communities' recommendations before we carry out initiatives that address violence and public safety. I have spent most of my career as a civil rights lawyer, ensuring access to justice and safety for underserved communities, so this is also very important to me personally. I want to thank all of you who have given testimony thus far, and those of you who will provide testimony today. Your words and your feedback have a tremendous impact on our policies and programs, and you should know that the department has acted on several recommendations from last year's consultation. Tribal leaders recommended special tribal jurisdiction, funding to support the exercise of that jurisdiction, making funding easily accessible, and addressing public safety and the issues of missing or murdered Indigenous persons. I'd like to touch on each of those areas. Last year, tribal leaders urged federal support for expanded recognition of tribal jurisdiction. This expanded recognition would allow tribes to hold accountable non-Indians who commit covered crimes on tribal lands and Alaska Native villages. Following this recommendation, Acting OVW Director Allison Randall testified before the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs, describing the gaps that undermine tribal efforts to protect survivors and hold perpetrators accountable in Alaska, and the need to respond through the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act reauthorization. She carried your words with her and quoted Vivian Corthusi, Chief Executive Officer for the Association of Village Council Presidents and a member of the Imanik tribe. Thanks to the incredible advocacy of tribal leaders, many of whom are here today, the Violence Against Women Act reauthorization of 2022 was signed into law. This reauthorization expands jurisdiction for American Indian and Alaska Native tribes, recognizing the inherent power of tribes to exercise special jurisdiction over all individuals for a covered crime. After last year's consultation, you also made clear that funding was essential to exercise the expanded recognition of jurisdiction. OVW administers a tribal jurisdiction grant program, under which funds can be used for a wide range of activities related to exercising that jurisdiction, covering all parts of a tribe's criminal justice system. These include, for example, counsel for indigent defendants, victim services, and incarceration, including medical care for the incarcerated people. When OVW discovered that many exercising tribes were not applying for this funding, they asked for feedback at last year's consultation on how to make it more accessible. We heard you, and OVW was able to issue a special solicitation inviting tribes to submit simplified applications to cover specific costs, rather than go through the traditional grant process. And it worked. Earlier this fiscal year, OVW made 11 awards under the solicitation, totaling approximately $2.1 million. I am pleased not only will OVW continue to provide these grants, but thanks to VAWA 2022, OVW can also reimburse tribes for expenses already incurred in exercising special tribal criminal jurisdiction, including tribes that participate in the Alaska Pilot Project. We're grateful to all of you who provided feedback to OVW about how best to structure that program. I can promise you that your input has been influential. OVW has incorporated other recommendations to their tribal grants because of last year's testimony, including improving the grant application process and enhancing outreach to more tribal communities. We are also pleased to announce new grant funding. Ensuring access to justice for all is at the core of the Justice Department's mission and is a key objective of multiple efforts across the department. And it is especially critical for communities enduring disproportionately high levels of violence. Expanding economic justice is crucial to survivors' access to justice. We listened to your testimony last year about how financial strain and housing instability stemming from victimization can prevent survivors from getting to safety and recovering from the harm that they've suffered. In response to tribal leaders' testimony about unmet needs, OVW will launch a pilot program to provide $1.5 million in financial assistance for survivors in tribal communities. This funding will assist survivors with expenses such as rent, utilities, car repairs, childcare, food, and other essentials that they need to pursue safety and stability as they recover. Lastly, you made a recommendation that the entire department and I take very seriously. We must continue to address public safety concerns and improve the response to missing or murdered American Indian and Alaska Native people. The epidemic rates of violence suffered by Native communities is unacceptable. Some areas have reported rates of murder against American Indian and Alaska Native women that are 10 times the national average. 10 times. Yesterday, you heard Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco discuss initiatives aimed at ameliorating this unacceptable reality for Native women and girls, including the implementation of Savannah's Act and the Not Invisible Act. DOJ's Office for Victims of Crime has also taken action. In FY 2022, it broadened the Tribal Victim Services Set-Aside Grant Program, which will allow grantees to address the needs of families of the missing. This change, made in response to comments from tribal leaders, creates an opportunity for tribal communities to direct much-needed funding toward meeting the needs of the loved ones of missing or murdered Indigenous persons, generating awareness of MMIP, and creating systemic change that can help remove barriers to helping victims and their loved ones find justice and healing. To further ensure the safety of Native women and girls, OVC provides technical assistance to tribes to support American Indian and Alaska Native communities. The Human Trafficking Capacity Building Center exists to help organizations and tribes with building their capacity to aid all trafficking victims, navigate the broad range of resources available to support their missions, and strengthen human trafficking service networks. Additionally, OVC has recently launched the Tribal Capacity Building Center in response to tribes' requests for technical assistance to be provided from people with lived experiences in tribal communities. Although we have made progress in addressing domestic and sexual violence against people in Native communities, we know there is so much more work to be done, and we are committed to doing it. But we need your continued partnership. Please know that when you are providing recommendations, we are listening and finding avenues, whether through policy or funding, to keep tribal communities safe. Again, thank you for being here today. Respecting tribal sovereignty and actively supporting our tribal leaders as partners are essential to improving access to justice for all. Thank you.